Hello, everyone. Welcome to the best and worst of Walt Disney World. I am your host, Rhino Clavin. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the best and worst themed Pixar attractions at Walt Disney World. And to join me for this discussion, we've got fresh off the CBS hit show, The Mentalist, Mr. Charles Boda.
Hello.
Mr. Steve Porter.
Hello.
And Mr. Craig Williams in the back there.
Hello.
Yes, and we all know Charles was actually not on The Mentalist, but he wears vests all the time like Simon Baker on that show. Anyway, we're just going to dive right in here today. We are going to go through, we have decided because we don't think a lot of them are amazing, that we're going to do the best and the worst of all the Pixar-themed attractions at Walt Disney World, like I said in the opening. But asterisks on this, we're putting Toy Story Land together, and we're putting The Seas with Nemo and Friends together, since they are a unit. But we're going to start at the bottom, and that is with what we as a collective group here feel like is the worst of all the Pixar offerings at Walt Disney World, and that is the Disney and Pixar Film Fest. That is a 4D look at Disney and Pixar short films that you may or may not have already seen at the movie theaters or on home video if you still watch video cassettes or DVDs or Blu-rays, whatever your choice is there. This attraction took over where Captain EO was, the reversioned Captain EO, after that closed in 2015. And we believe currently the short films playing there are Get a Horse, Feast, and Piper. So really it's just one Pixar short film at this time. Craig, why do we hate this?
Because it's just a waste of space. And I think it's as simple as that. It's, I know Captain EO was kind of probably more of a love it or hate it type of an attraction. I was in the boat of people who loved it. I know Rhino feels that way too. But it definitely, it was a very much a thing of the 80s. And so to go from having an attraction that felt unique and just perfect, especially when they brought it back in and had its nice long run, it just felt great at the time. So then to strip that away and just show like bonus features essentially,
yeah, for real,
and shorts and like stuff that's available on Netflix, like to just do that, it's never felt like a true dedicated space. Yeah, they have some fun intros and stuff before it starts, but the final attraction, what you're going there for, it's just a place to escape the heat and sit down.
100%. It is literally something at its laziest. It's something you do when you want the kids to, when they're not playing outside and you want them to leave them alone for a few minutes. You put this thing, like it's just, you don't pay $100 and something a ticket per person to go and watch things like Craig said that you can access yourself. Well, not much more to say about that. The next one here, and I don't like this because birds in shows creep me out, is Up, a Great Bird Adventure Show at Disney's Animal Kingdom. The Disney and Pixar Film Fest, by the way, did I say that was at Epcot? But it's at Epcot if you didn't know. But anyway, Up, a great big, sorry, I keep saying a great big beautiful bird, but it's a great big, dang it, a great bird adventure show.
Got him.
At Animal Kingdom.
Nailed it.
So I'm going to read you the official description here, which is take flight as you join Russell and his furry sidekick Doug on a flap-happy adventure sure to send spirits soaring. Led by a senior wilderness explorer, this unique birding experience features a close-up look at various species from around the globe, including the marabou stork, a creature that flaunts a magnificent 10-foot wingspan. Prepare for breathtaking fun with these free-flying fowl, along with a few other surprises. And the surprises are the birds poop on you.
So you're just anti-bird?
I'm not anti. I'm anti people caging birds, and I'm sure there are people out there. I know people in my own life that have birds as pets. When you take the one thing this creature was put on the planet to do, which is fly, it just is a weird. Also, I don't know. Birds aren't an animal I'm used to interacting with because, like, everybody has a dog, everybody has a cat, some people have chinchillas. These are animals I'm used to. Birds, I am not.
Go home, you social justice warrior.
I know. I'm SJW for all the birds. No, but I'm sure the birds are well cared for at Animal Kingdom. But it's just for me, I never enjoyed the Flights of Wonder show that was in here, which was the show that this took over for. And apparently there's also going to be, Steve was saying that the show was so bad.
So they
they
Not well received is what I should say.
yeah.
Sorry.
So they kind of try to reinvigorate it by introducing these up characters to the show.
Yeah.
But it was just not well received, and it's already apparently going through script changes and because they're just trying to do anything they can because it's just not a good show.
Yeah. For me, I don't know. Craig, you have any thoughts on this show that you want to share?
I don't like when they take something that is, in this situation, it's so non-Pixar and just throw in characters because they loosely relate to it. That doesn't use the Pixar characters to their advantage. It's kind of like everyone's worries with Disney and Star Wars. It's like, are you gonna just are you just gonna take those characters now that you own them and put them in situations that they don't belong in at all?
Right.
So that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I get it. So some people might love this show too. So this is just how we feel as a group in here. I should always say that at the beginning of the show because people get on us about that all the time. Well, next up, one that I have actually never enjoyed is Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor. You join for this. I'm going to read you the official description again. Join Monsters of Ceremonies, Mike Wazowski, and the funniest monsters in Monstropolis for a show to power the city. So having discovered that Laugh provides 10 times more energy to Monstropolis than a scream, everybody's favorite one-eyed monstrosity decided to open up the Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, a comedy club starring monster comedians as a way to capture the giggles and chortles of humans to help run the city. First of all, I hate the word chortles, but
yeah,
so this has been open since April of 2007. So I moved to Florida in the end of 2007, and that I didn't even realize when I was going then that this was like a new attraction. But for me, Charles, I'm going to let you speak about this one a little bit because I think you and I have the same feeling of why I don't necessarily love the attraction. So
yeah,
go ahead.
I absolutely hate this attraction. I find it abhorrent. I think I've mentioned on the show before this story, but the first and only time I'd ever been in there, I didn't realize what it was. And I was like, oh, okay, Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor. And it was on this Disney date where I was actually meeting a person for the first time at Disney. And so we go in there and we get like 30 seconds into the actual process, and I realized that it's so audience participation with a camera directly on your face while jokes are made.
It repeatedly goes back to you if you're lucky.
Yeah, and so I was like, okay, well, audience participation, they usually know how to read the room, so they won't choose me. And she's like, oh, it'll definitely choose you. And I was like, okay, I'm out. I'm bailing. Really? Yes, I'm just bailing. I'm not going to be able to do that. Stuff like that makes me really uncomfortable, and I'm not the only one. I might be a little worse than some, but if you're with a party of like 4 or 5 people, the odds of all of you loving that audience participation thing aren't really that great. So I mean, some people might really enjoy it, but I hated it.
I agree with you. It does give me a certain type of anxiety, that sort of thing, especially when I was going the first times and didn't really, wasn't as familiar with the show as I am now. And also, I wasn't working at the Diz at that time, and I'm still new to Disney, so I have definitely come out of that stuff a lot more. It still does give me that like electricity through my skin sometimes that I feel. But I don't hate. I just don't love the monster. I'm kind of indifferent on Monsters Inc. because it's a lot of like slapstick humor. And I feel like the technology used in the show is interesting. Like having the monsters be able to actually speak in the moment is cool. I think it's better employed in an attraction we talk about later down the road here. But for me, it just kind of falls a little like, I don't know. It's a little flat. There could be something with a better use of space.
I'll keep it short, but I just will say, working there, I've realized that they have essentially 3 or 4 different routines that they rotate through. And that's fine if you come here every, 4 or 5 years, or you don't come very often. But if you're an annual pass holder, or even someone that visits once a year, you've probably seen the same variation of the same show. And yes, the audience participation can be slightly different, and the way they react to it can be slightly different, but it's essentially just the same show over and over again.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. It's you maybe after like 3-4 times there, you've seen everything you can see. It loses rewatchability.
But yeah, I completely agree with that. It doesn't have a sustainable a future, I already feel like it's past its prime and it's only been open for 11 years, I guess. That says a lot about an attraction. Also, my other thing with that is it doesn't really belong in Tomorrowland. I don't understand what part of that lends itself to Tomorrowland, but that's just me. But you know what? When I do go in and I watch it, sometimes I do enjoy it more than I think I do. I'm not trying to say it's terrible, but next on the list is It's Tough to Be a Bug at Animal Kingdom, and this is Flick the Lovable Ant from Disney Pixar film A Bug's Life invites you and your family to become honorary creepy crawlies by donning a pair of special bug eye glasses and watching an exciting 3D film and live show on the survival techniques of bugs. So this opened in April of 1998, and what I didn't know until today was that this opened about 7 months before the actual movie did. So I actually think that's pretty cool. I like this show. I have always wondered why it's just Flick and Hopper, and I read that those are the only two characters that were completely like solidified,
animated,
and at that point. So that's why none of the other bugs from the movie are in it, except for now you can hear. Oh my goodness, what is the caterpillar's name in that movie, Craig? Heimlich. You can hear him being the voice when they're getting ready to start the show, but. I think it's cool. I like that you go inside of the Tree of Life. You get to walk through and see all the cut. For me, that's kind of the highlight. I also, in a sort of sadistic way, I like how scary it can get in there because, like, Hopper, the giant animatronic, which is one of the more complicated animatronics on Disney property too, is bursts out and it's like there's smoke and there's like a strobe light and then the spiders come down and a lot happens all of a sudden at once and it does become overwhelming. But I kind of remember like going in and my grandma was there and like the little kids were there and like.
You're not going to mention like the bugs that go under your butt too?
The butt bugs are fine. Well, that's weird. Weird sentence, but it's the hornet that stabs you in the back that I don't like because I have a injury on my spine and it stabs me right where I got hurt. Ooh. And so I always that part, like, it hurts to even think about it, like, and it creeps me out. And so, I don't know. Where do you guys stand on this? Do you think this is on the worst or the best?
I would shy more towards the best for me, but I'm one of those rare people who actually likes A Bug's Life.
Yeah.
I think there are plenty of people who appreciate the characters and, like, maybe loved A Bug's Land and California Adventure, but haven't seen the movie in years or not at all. They just know it from, like, this. But I think there's highlights to it, like when the one I can't remember which bug it is like shooting all the targets in there, and they're using a lot of like the wind effects perfectly. Yeah. The Hopper animatronic is completely amazing in there. It's just, it's one of the best animatronics still to this day.
Well, yeah, 20 years later, and it's still great. Yeah.
But. Overall, there's some humor that I hate in there, like the stink bug. Like I think I'm finally past the point where I don't find fart jokes funny anymore, and only in some like if it's Blazing Saddles, it's still funny, but other ones not as much anymore. But then it's the only thing I would say is a downside is every single time it gets to the scary part with the spiders coming down and he's attacking all of the audience with the bugs. It's like. Kids are just screaming and crying in there, and not that bothers me.
They don't recover from it.
Yeah, it's very scary, and I don't think they do well enough of a job of letting people know that. So, while I find it appealing, I definitely wouldn't take young kids in there.
Yeah, it definitely has a scare factor, especially since if you're claustrophobic too. I think it really adds to that because you have to the idea that you're shrinking down and like kind of going into the base of the Tree of Life, and then you go into another room while you're in the Tree of Life. And something scary happens, it does give that extra feeling of like, okay, I'm kind of trapped. But the next one we have on the list is the Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. So evil Emperor Zurg is stealing batteries from helpless toys to power a new weapon of destruction. As a junior space ranger, it's up to you to maneuver an XP-37 Star Cruiser through the neon-lit Gamma Quadrant and fire lasers from an onboard cannon to stop him and score points. So this attraction opened in 1998. It is an Omnimover attraction like the attractions before it as well. I am a big fan of this. Craig has made I don't mean to keep throwing it back to you, but you did make a valid point that I had never really thought about before when we were talking about the attractions. You were saying that, well, we're all men in this room, and that we play video games. Not that just men play video games, but for somebody who's not as experienced in like that sort of a setting, it's not as fun for them.
Yeah, I would even say, like, before Kylie spent some time as an MIB agent, she didn't really enjoy going on
flash everybody
Buzz Lightyear, and now that she's good at shooting games and stuff like that, then it's a little bit different. But yeah, if you're not good at it, you're gonna get upset at some point doing it over and over again.
I'm gonna slightly disagree with you guys. Like, for example, my mom is not a big video game player, but I know that she enjoys going on Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. I think just because you're not into video games, I think that there's still just...
There's the carnival aspect of it. You know what it reminds me of more than video games is shoot the water in the clown's mouth.
That's what I was thinking is, especially for like whether people are familiar with it or they're unfamiliar with it, like bonding with friends or as a couples thing, like if you don't take it seriously and you're not competitive and you're just there for fun, then you don't necessarily have to have skill or familiarity with it. You can still have a good time.
The other thing I like about this attraction is that if no one in the car knows what they're doing, a lot of the times it's just random. Whatever target you hit ends up, giving you a lot of points or not that many points. And some person, like a parent, could go in thinking, oh, I'm going to beat my kid at this game and it'll be so easy because they're going to get 200 points and I'm going to get, 100,000 or whatever. But certain targets, because they have different scores, sometimes the kids beat the adults. Sometimes, it's all random.
One of the things why I definitely put this on the better side of things is the repeatability of the attraction too. So I think that it is one of those rides, like maybe you don't know what you're doing, you can go through and do it again and again. And I find that it's never a ride that I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do this. I'm always okay doing it, depending on the weight, obviously, but.
And then that's an important point to make is the queue is awful. It smells, it's claustrophobic, it's warm, it's gross. And the noise, the recording that they replay over and over again is horrendous. And because of the acoustics there, it's just screaming children, this noise, and then weird smells from when it was first constructed. So like it feels like somebody's old industrial like apartment complex kind of deal going through it, like just very weird vibe, smell kind of thing. So I love the attraction, but if the wait means I have to spend a lot of time on that indoor part of the queue, then I pass it by.
It's not an overly like innovative queue, or I feel like they really kind of threw it in there. I mean, I do like the Buzz Lightyear that's in there, and Buzz Lightyear is definitely one of my favorite Pixar characters, and I have watched like his movie and I used to watch his TV show. So I do feel like it's a weird representation. Like somebody made up all these ideas that are like they're pseudo referencing Toy Story, but it's also not Toy Story because we're supposed to be in Buzz Lightyear's frame of mind, like in his story, his backstory. So I do have issue with how the story is represented. But that's why it's a little lower on the list, I think. But the next one we're going to talk about is Finding Nemo, the musical. Now, this is over at Animal Kingdom again. In this 40-minute show, original songs bring the big blue world to life, along with extraordinary puppets and vibrant sets that plunge you right into the depths of Nemo's fantastic terrain. Performed on stage, on a stage flanked by big bubbles, the musical numbers shimmer with wondrous underwater effects created with the innovative lighting, dynamic props, and animated projections. Now, the songs were written by the Avenue Q composer Robert Lopez and his wife Kristen Anderson Lopez. It's been open now for a little over 11 years because it opened in January 2007. I think that this production, I never saw Tarzan Rocks, which was the show that occupied the theater that Finding Nemo was in. I never saw that. So I can only speak of this show. I really enjoy the show. I think it's a really interesting take, like, sometimes when they cram new songs into things that didn't previously have musical numbers, it never quite feels or sounds right to me. And this is one of those exceptions where I feel like they did a really good job of, if you keep watching this, you're almost like, wait, were there musical numbers in Finding Nemo? And so I think it does a good job of kind of retelling the story in a creative and different way. I don't know. Does anybody else have anything they want to say about this show? They feel strongly about it one way or the other?
I agree with everything you said. The only thing that maybe didn't put it higher on the list for me, or why I wouldn't have argued for it to go higher, is just because it's the same show every time, because it's a high production thing for a Disney park. That, you know, once you see it once, you don't really need to see it again and again and again. But
What do you think, Craig?
I mean, I disagree with that in the same way that people rewatch movies at home the same time, or they go see the same Broadway shows over. My thing for a theme park, when you only have those limited hours that you can be there, it's a long show.
Yeah,
and
that was what I was gonna
requires
say.
time up front to get in the theater, get your seat, and then watch the show, and then the big long walk out of there. It's just, with that all in mind, it takes a big chunk out of your day to experience it. So that's the only downside.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it is a 40-minute show. I would. It's one of those shows where I'm like, if you can walk by and there's seating and just walk in that way, great, do it. Experience it that way, 100%. If not, it's one of those. Especially when it first started, you had to be there really far ahead of time, and it was kind of crazy. And that was always my thing. It was just a process and involvement. It's the same reason why I didn't like Lights, Motors, Action. But I think in terms of it being a very well represented Pixar property in the park, it's definitely belongs on that best of list there. Now, moving on, we have 2 left we'll be discussing. And like I said, these are both coming as a unit. And the first is the Seas with Nemo and Friends as a whole. Now, this area in Epcot all started with Turtle Talk with Crush, which opened in 2004, November 2004. That actually ended up being way more popular than Disney had anticipated. So they decided that they were going to kind of make over the whole Living with the Seas area and turn it into a Nemo attraction, and that's where the Seas with Nemo and Friends became a thing. So the description for that specific Nemo and Friends attraction is board a clamobile. I did not know that they were called that till today. And descend below the waves into a big blue world where Nemo and his friends flit through brightly colored coral reefs and gently swaying sea anemones. Oh my gosh, how does he say it in the movies? Anemone. I don't know what this word is.
This is embarrassing for you.
With Mr. Ray and his school and see ultra cool ultraviolet jellies. Now that attraction specifically opened in January of 2007, and like I said, replaced the Living Seas. I personally, for me, I like dark rides. I like when they use things where it's like an actual physical representation of characters. I don't think they're always executed amazingly. I don't think the attraction itself maybe is like phenomenal. However, Craig makes a really valid point. If you think about it from a perspective of like, you know, you're here as a family, it's something that everybody can do. Kids can do it. Parents can do it. You know, it's that sort of thing. What do you think?
I think it's a decent one. The parts that I like the best are the classic dark ride parts, where it's like a little bit of, you know, there's not a ton of animatronics there, but there is some actual 3-dimensional physical
When the
stuff
scary fish
in
is
there.
moving around.
Yeah, or you've got that like bioluminescent jellyfish that you go under is really nice, but a lot of it is screen based, and it kind of loses me there. It's fun and it's not bad. I would never tell anybody that like it's a waste of time. Usually there's not much of a wait. I mean, most times I go there too. So I enjoy doing it. I do it relatively frequently, but it never blows me out of the water.
Yeah. Well, good choice of words.
Thank you.
I really like this attraction. The part that I wish was longer though was where it's like projecting the characters where the actual aquarium is.
Yeah.
And I think that technology is something that people that come to Disney World have never, like a lot of people have never seen that type of technology before.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I like that kind of stuff.
The highlight to this area to me is actually is Turtle Talk with Crush still, I think, for an attraction that's now like 14 years old. I think like it's fun for parents and children. I don't know that if you don't have kids, it's something that you're going to repeatedly do, because it is definitely a younger crowd-based attraction. It has that, like I spoke earlier, it has that kind of technology in there where Crush comes out and his mouth moves and he speaks to specific children. And I think it's always so cool when he calls out like, "Oh, you, the little dude in the red sweatshirt," and the kid's like, "What, me?" Like the turtle spoke to me, and he has a religious moment. And but like, I think that's really cool, and I think it's a lot of fun, and I think it ties into that whole area very well. So it still keeps in theme with the attraction, with the park, with the land, and that whole area.
I was really hoping you were going to do a Crush accent.
I can't. I have not practiced that, so I can't.
All right.
And that will bring us to what we think is the best Pixar themed area of the Disney World, and that is the newly opened Toy Story Land, opened June of this year, and that's comprised of Slinky Dog Dash, Alien Swirling Saucers, and Toy Story Mania. And the official description is that you become the size of a toy alongside Woody, Buzz Lightyear, Jessie, and the rest of your Toy Story pals, all in this larger-than-life setting of Andy's backyard. So Slinky Dog Andy has assembled his Mega Coaster play kit, and Slinky Dog is going to take you on a wild, toy-filled adventure. Alien Swirling Saucers is inside a playset that Andy won at Pizza Planet. The aliens have powered up their flying saucers, and they're ready to spin you on a wild ride into space. Toy Story Mania, step inside Andy's room and wind your way through a toy treasure chest of classic playthings. And if you don't know, that is an attraction we were shooting at a screen 3D setting. I think as a whole, I think they did a really good job theming wise. Yes, everybody will tell you until the end of time, where is the shade? Why was there no shade? That is an unfortunate oversight. But overall, like, I really enjoy the Slinky Dog coaster. I did it again the other day with Craig and Kylie and some friends that we've made through the show and stuff, and that was their first time experiencing it, and they loved it. And I think that area looks really cool at night. I like attention to detail that's in there, and overall, I think once it's fully opened and the walkway into Star Wars Land is open and stuff, it'll reach its like full potential. But do you guys have anything to say, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, I love Slinky Dog Dash. I think it's a really smooth coaster. I like that a lot. And I think, like you said, the theming is really well done. I like that they've incorporated Toy Story Mania into Toy Story Land. Obviously, it'd be weird if they hadn't, but it was, now it's like kind of all complete.
Yeah,
it's nice.
Yeah. Well, so that's it. If we've spoken at Toy Story Land at length in many other episodes and podcasts on here. So if you do want to check out some of that, you can search through the YouTube feed or the iTunes feed and find plenty of our thoughts on it overall. But I do believe as a package deal, it is good, and it does add some much needed attractions for younger kids as well. So I'm happy they have that experience at Hollywood Studios, which doesn't have many experiences to be had at all. So that is our list. So again, that was from the bottom to the top: Disney and Pixar Film Festival, Up, A Great Bird Adventure Show, Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, It's Tough to Be a Bug, Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin, Finding Nemo the Musical, The Seas with Nemo and Friends, and Toy Story Land. So if you think we should have ranked these differently, feel free to let us know in all those usual places on Twitter, the.diz, or wherever you see fit. But that'll do it for this episode. Thank you guys for having this conversation. Thank you guys for joining us out there, and we'll see you next time with another episode of The Best and Worst of Walt Disney World.